EliGE is one of the best Counter-Strike players in the world, and he's pretty well known for thinking a bit more deeply about the game than others. So for the next week, I'm going to be using his aim training routine to see if it actually works for me. Luckily, EliGE is one of the few pro players that talks a lot about his aim training and how he goes about it. And luckily for us, he's actually got a whole video talking about each step he goes through for his aim training routine. So let's check that out. So as I'm watching this video, I'm kind of realizing that this is going to take a lot of time. Like there's 3 different sections. There's aim labs, there's workshop maps, and then there's a refrag section. And I mean, I guess you don't become the best without training like the best. I mean, EliGE has trained so hard, he doesn't even have hair left. Okay, so starting with aim labs, this was a pretty new experience for me. I changed some of the settings to make it feel better for me, but yeah, it's been a long time since I've used any aim trainers like aim labs or Kovacs, so this is kind of a new thing for me personally. Another thing with this section is that when I was watching the video that EliGE made, it seemed like I was just playing through each task, but you actually play each task like 3 times. So it's like 3 times the length that I thought this section was gonna take. And yeah, it's taking like 30 minutes to complete this first section. Now we move on to the workshop map portion of the training. And this section honestly feels really painful because you have to do like 1,000 kills on these bots. And I don't think I've ever done 1,000 kills, let alone in aimbots. So we're gonna try it out in this workshop map and just see how we go. All right, so I finished shooting my 1,000 bots. And I swear to God, it feels like EliGE has just strapped my hand to like a 10-kilogram mouse and made me use it for a whole day. Yeah, it was painful. I will say though, as I was moving through each section of the kills, I did feel like my aim was improving as I went, which is probably a good sign, but I think it's more like I was warming up rather than actually improving long term. I'm not sure. Next up is EliGE's refrag routine. So this is the one I'm most excited about, and as you can see on the website, you can select EliGE or Twists or Stico, so you can save those for a future training session perhaps, but we'll hop into the EliGE version of this. So EliGE starts off with this aimbots mode, which kind of makes sense since it's a bit of a warm-up, and I think normally people are doing this refrag routine separately to the other training I've done before this. So it kind of makes sense to kind of warm up your aim a bit. Next up was this Blitz game mode. And my God, this game mode is actually so sick. It was definitely my favorite thing that I did during this training. And I think it's mainly because I was actually really active with my hand and like moving, making adjustments, making flicks. And I was hitting shots that I don't normally hit outside of this training. So it was really interesting. And after I finished this Blitz section, I actually felt like so sharp, like I could just hit any shot I wanted to, which was really cool. The next game mode was this X-Fire game mode. This was kind of like pre-fire, but basically there's these bots that swing out into you as well, which definitely takes the upper level, I think, because it trains your crosshair placement to not only just be ready for the person you're killing, but the person that might try and trade that guy that you're trying to kill. So yeah, definitely helps with the crosshair placement. Next up was the spray transfer game mode, which I really liked as well because you're actually practicing on moving targets, whereas when you're playing like in a workshop map, the targets aren't normally moving, like they're just standing still, and it makes it hard to train spray transfers. So I think this game mode is actually really nice because there's not really many ways to train spray transfers in Counter-Strike, and this is probably one of the few ones that you can actually use. All right, I finished day 1, and I've got to say that this was a little bit painful, especially for the first day. The aim lab section took 30 minutes, which was way longer than I normally last. The aimbot section was only 15 minutes, but it felt like it was way longer, even though it wasn't. It was only 15 minutes. The refrag section at the end, though, was actually fun. Like, I enjoyed the game modes that I was playing. But we'll see if it improves tomorrow. So yeah. After day 1, I was feeling a little bit worn out, but going into day 2, I feel a little bit more motivated to keep continuing this routine. But we're going to ask EliGE a couple of questions to see what his thoughts on aim training is. EliGE, how you going, man?
Going pretty good. How about you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Since the beginning of CS2, you started using this aim training routine and you made like an entire video about it. It seems to work pretty good for you. I mean, you're on FaZe Clan now, you're repping the merch.
Yeah, of course.
And one of the main concerns I've had though is that during this time, you also went bald. So I'm just wondering if I start using this, Is that something I should be concerned about, or what do you think?
Well, you're not gonna lose your hair or anything, but
Okay.
if it makes you more confident and you like how it looks, then you can definitely go for it. Maybe you'll get a buff just from the confidence alone.
Because I see some of the, top performers. You have people like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Johnny Sins.
Yeah.
These guys are some of the best
Yeah.
at their game, so there might be a connection.
There could be. You never know until you try. That's for sure.
Do you think that kind of just the average Counter-Strike player should be spending some time to warm up before hopping into, a FACEIT or a Premier game? I feel like a lot of players kind of just don't do any warm-up and just hop into a game. Do you think that they're missing out on something by doing that?
I think that you can do that, but I think that most players, I'd say the majority, unless you're, I mean, it is different for every player, I think, but just having your hands warm and like having like that feeling of like the game and making sure your strafes feel good, your aim feels good, just putting in that like time before. I mean, people do it with professional sports, right? Obviously, where people are going to be doing stretches and running and whatever it is, little drills before like the official match starts in real sports. So I think it's the same thing in CS as well.
Makes sense, yeah. So yeah, I definitely agree that even doing some aim training is way better than what most people are even currently doing. Like, I feel like most people don't actually aim train, which is probably not a good thing. Even just like a couple of minutes definitely helps a lot. But yeah, we're doing like an hour, so let's hop into it before I go insane.
Are you fucking insane?
So I definitely felt a lot more comfortable on the aim lab section. Day one, I was struggling actually quite a bit on some of these game modes, but day two, it's feeling a bit better. I'm a bit more used to how they kind of play out. My tracking and kind of micro flicks are apparently really bad, and yeah, it's definitely something I need to work on. The workshop map section felt pretty much the same. Like, I'm just shooting 1,000 bots, and to me, this is probably the section that feels the most painful for me. I get for EliGE, he's kind of just on LAN. It's like his only option to play this, but I think it wouldn't be his first option if he had something else that he could play. Last up is the Refrag section, which again felt just the best overall. It felt like a challenge, and after completing the Blitz section, my aim just felt crazy good. I'm not sure how this specific game mode kind of targets that, but it feels like I'm actually warming up super effectively, which is really nice. As for the other Refrag game modes, it's pretty much the same. I do feel like my aim is like getting a little bit better while I'm doing them though, so that's definitely a positive. So I've been using your routine for a few days now. I think one of the main things I've noticed is that I feel like I can visualize kind of player movement a bit better, and I feel like, my tracking and kind of just micro adjustments have improved a lot. How much do you think that if you kept doing this consistently, do you think that this would improve your aim in the long term?
Just having focused practice, I think, is the most important thing. I think being able to visualize what you're working on and how it's going to look in the game is super important. And at least for me, when I warm up, I always like changing it up all the time. Depends just kind of what I need to work on. There's always like a core couple things that I will do like all the time, like for example just like shooting stationary boss and just working on my static flicking, for example. I think that helps me and I like that, but then obviously you're gonna have to work on your pathing into the sites, how you're going to want to entry, visualizing like all that movement, how you want to strafe, what strafes you want to do. So all that type of stuff I think is important, and also it is good to just like see other things and not get bored with your routine, because just making sure that you're doing stuff every single day and keeping on top of it is what's going to keep you playing better in the future, just keeping at it and being consistent.
So you would say that kind of including a variety of different tasks and refrag modes and stuff like that is something that you should be thinking about when you're kind of aim training?
100%. Yeah, I think that mindlessly doing routines won't help you as much as doing something that's more focused on what you need to work on. If it's just for warming up, then I think just anything to get whatever's enjoyable when you're warming up, whatever's enjoyable for you to like get to it. But when you're actually training, being focused on what you're working on, I think is gonna bring you results quicker than if you're just doing things just to do them.
Yeah, so just focusing on kind of what you think your weaknesses are and stuff like that.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's day 3, and I thought today I would play a FACEIT Pug just to kind of see what my progress is like so far in this challenge. But yeah, we'll do that at the end. We'll hop into the routine first and see how it goes. So today I felt way better in the aim labs scenarios. Like I was actually hitting a lot of the shots, I feel like a lot more smoothly. Like I was going between the targets really quickly, which felt nice. And I could see my scores actually improving, which is cool. Struggling a little bit still on the tracking and the micro adjustment type of stuff, but it is improving a little bit, which is nice. Hopping into the workshop map section, and this still feels like a major grind, but I don't know. I feel like I'm slightly enjoying it now. I don't know if I've been like Stockholm syndromed into liking this torture, but yeah, the workshop map section, still painful, but maybe it will get better. I don't know. We'll have to see. It's time for Refrag, and the nice thing about Refrag stuff at this point is that I noticed my elo increasing. So Refrag is like adjusting the difficulty of the game modes based on how well I'm playing in them, which is really a nice touch, I think. So it makes it a lot more of a challenge. Like the bots will kill you way faster if you don't hit the shots. So yeah, definitely a really nice sign. Alright, so I'm hopping into my FACEIT Pug. I'm currently sitting at 2,400 elo, so hopefully I can increase that number. I'm feeling pretty good with my aim, so we'll see how it goes.
E-box one.
That's an adjustment I wouldn't get normally. Alright, so we're over halfway now, and as each day kind of goes by, I definitely notice stuff is getting a lot easier, especially with the aim lab stuff. I feel like I've improved a lot with those specific scenarios, so it definitely feels good to kind of go through those and get better scores. The workshop map stuff, it still feels like a grind, and yesterday I was saying that I kind of enjoy it. That was a lie. I do not enjoy this section at all. The Refrag section definitely feels good though. Again, the blitz stuff feels to me like the most effective thing that I'm doing right now. Other game modes are good as well, but yeah, the blitz one definitely feels like I'm actually achieving something with my training, which is cool. You know, if you're like a serious player and you're really trying to compete at a higher level, let's say you're someone that's in like the ECA leagues, advanced, and trying to move up to ECL levels and stuff like that, how important do you think that, you know, just having that consistent routine and everyday improvement is? Do you think that is a top tier priority?
In terms of just consistency of playing, I think it's extremely important. I think that, you know, if you do bursts of energy like here and there, I think that's where you're not going to get as much progress out of it, because you're relying on yourself to be motivated, whereas, you know, you kind of just need to do the work every day and get used to putting in like the time and improving on it every single day. I think that you'll see that in any discipline, really. I think just trying to stack up as many hours as you can, as much experience, as much progress building towards your goals is going to get you there than relying on you to be super motivated one day and putting in 7 hours or 6 hours, and then the next day it's 2 or 3 because you're tired now.
Yep.
If you just put in a more consistent amount of hours, then you're going to get more out of it. So I think it's just more about finding that consistency and seeing how much of it, you know, works for you. I think it's different for every player, but I think just, you know, you have to put in time and you have to put it in consistently, otherwise it's just going to be really difficult for you.
And also, what do you think is kind of like the time split you should have between stuff like aim labs and workshop maps and, you know, stuff like Refrag, for example?
In terms of splitting between, you know, aim training on like an actual aim trainer versus Refrag versus DM and stuff like that, I think it still goes back to, you know, what I said before. I think just picking something and being consistent, but also working on what you think you need to work on. So if, you know, for example, if I think that my movement needs to improve a little bit and something hasn't been feeling right in the game, then I'm going to make sure that I'm going to be doing more mods in the game that is going to be you know, helping me with that movement. So I'll do more angle trainers, some pre-fire. I even like blitz a lot in terms of just movement, because you're kind of like, you know, going through a lot of fights, you're getting like important counter strafes, seeing how you want to like take different duels and stuff like that. So it's all about like the visualization of that. But if I need to, you know, work on my raw aim, maybe I'm trying out a new mouse pad, or I'm trying out, you know, some different thing of, you know, maybe I've just in the game I've realized that I keep on losing specific things related to my aim. It's way easier to work on that with an aim trainer than it is in the game.
Interesting, yeah.
Because there's just so many, it's just more isolated training of what you know that you could fix. So I think that they all have like their uses. I also just like, changing it up. I'm always, just doing whatever feels right. Like if I think that this is what I need to work on, then I'm going to work on that. If I want to like shoot against, real people doing like real movement, then I'm going to go into a DM. But, I want to make sure that I'm doing as much as I can consistently, but also with a purpose.
I'm definitely getting into the flow of this routine now. I know exactly what to go to next, especially like during the aim lab stuff. I know how to kind of complete the task. I feel like I'm gamifying the aim lab stuff a little bit. Like I know exactly how to maximize my score, which I guess is what it's going for. But yeah, I don't know if that's like a good thing or a bad thing, but that's what I'm doing right now. The workshop map stuff feels the same. I will say that I am completing the workshop map section a lot quicker, which means that I guess my accuracy is improved a bit. So yeah, it's a little bit quicker than from day one. Refrag stuff still feels awesome. I've noticed with the spray control stuff that my sprays have actually gotten really good. Like I don't feel like I'm whiffing sprays anymore. I didn't really expect that. I thought it was just helping my spray transfers, but it helps my normal spray control as well, which is nice. All right, it's day 6. And at this point I can definitely confidently say that my aim has improved like quite a bit. On day 1, I was kind of getting used to all the game modes and stuff. So I think my scores were a little bit lower, but now that I'm, on day 6, I feel like I'm hitting shots way more confidently. Like I don't have to really adjust too much. My aim is a lot more accurate, which is really cool because my flicks feel super on point right now, which is really nice. I've also been playing a couple of matchmaking games and Premier games in between some of the days where I'm not recording, and it definitely feels good playing some of these games. So yeah, tomorrow is going to be the final day. Play a FACEIT game tomorrow as well, which should give another nice indication on how I'm kind of stacking up with this aim training routine. But yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Okay, it's the final day. And it's time to hop into a FACEIT game. So I've already run through all the routine. My aim feels pretty good, but we're going to see how it translates into a real game. It's the final game, day 7. Let's hop into it.
Gonna reload. 2 guys on B.
An ace to end it all. Let's go, dude. Overall, this has been a great experience. This is the first time I've ever fully dedicated myself to aim training, and I have to say that, after seeing all the improvements and stuff, it feels really good to kind of improve every single day, or at least in the beginning, it feels noticeable, my improvement from day 1 to day 7. So finally, let's just say you have, 10-15 minutes, you want to hop into a FACEIT game. What's kind of your recommendation on how you would spend those 10 to 15 minutes just warming up for just like the average player that wants to have a good game and feel like they're warm and sharp?
Yeah, I would say that I wouldn't do an aim trainer to warm up for like 10 to 15 minutes because I think that that's more about focused practice. It also, obviously it's very helpful, but in terms of, if I only have 10-15 minutes, I'm going to make sure that I'm going into the game, I'm working on my movement, I'm working my counter strafes, whether that's, playing a mode in terms of like angle trainer, blitz. I know blitz is very enjoyable for me if I only have like 10-15 minutes,
yeah,
or I'll go through like a very short routine. Yeah, or I'll just DM for like 10-15 minutes. But to me, if I'm thinking about purely being efficient, then I think doing one of the routines on Refrag would be more efficient since there's less time running around. You can be a little bit more focused for it. Also, just shooting bots I think is fine, but if I have the option, then I would probably go with one of our modes at Refrag because I think there's just a lot of really good warm-up options that we have.
Well, thanks for taking the time to talk with me today. I'm sure the viewers are gonna really enjoy your insights on aim training and stuff like that. So Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Thank you guys for watching as well.
I have to 100% agree with EliGE in that the Refrag section is definitely the most time efficient and effective section of the training. So if you want to try out Refrag for yourself, you can do so by using the code EliGE Routine to get 15% off your subscription. I hope you enjoyed the video, and let me know if you want to see more videos like this. Peace out.